Who's Tad?
Alright guys, well welcome. My name is Witherspoon
and Savon Gray.
and we are here with the lovely Tatyana and Amir Windom, and we're just gonna talk to them a little bit more about the event and about themselves, and hopefully give you guys a good taste of really what these wonderful artists and moguls do. So, alright, so this is for both of you guys. What challenges have you endured controlling your self-image?
Ladies first.
No, thanks. What challenges have I endured? I think staying true to myself. One of the things I talked about during our convo.
Yeah.
Hashtag convo.
Hashtag
Right.
Convo series.
Well done. One thing I talked about during the convo was imaging. We're so used to talking about it as branding, but what I've come to learn is that image is really perspective. So, what's my perspective? Like, where do I come from? What am I here to say? How do I want to say it? How do I want to represent myself? That has been, I don't know. I feel like I've always had a pretty good idea of who I am and what I like and what I don't like. What makes me comfortable and what doesn't. What I think is cool and what I don't think is cool. Or interesting and kind of dumb. And I tend to gravitate towards interesting. And sometimes I do things that push my comfort zone because I think that's good. But it's something that I've had to fight for, and that I've had to go against go against people who you would think knew more than I did. Agents or representatives, A&Rs. I've had to go against them in order to be true to myself, and I didn't know where that would lead me, but lo and behold, I have an image that's all my own, and that happened organically because I did stay true to myself. So it's been an uphill battle, or it was for a time, but I'm in my 30s now, so I dare anybody to tell me what to do.
Yes, I'm grown.
It's true. That's just something that kind of
happens.
happens. No, it's something that kind of happens.
Yeah.
You start to really. I talked about self-love too. You start to really love yourself and honor, your instinct and your choices, and it becomes easier and easier. Just keep working out that muscle, and you get stronger and stronger. It gets easier to do.
So was there like a particular time, I'm sorry, I'll let you answer too, but was there a particular time when that kind of happened for you? Because I know like I've kind of been like outgoing and like kind of true to myself for a long time, but I know really getting into college really opened new doors for me. It really made me kind of experience what I did like and what I didn't like, even though I thought I knew for so long. I thought I had everything planned out and correct, and then I'm like, well, no. So having everything thrown at you at once, especially, you've been doing this since you say 4.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like, is there a specific time or just growing up through the business, have you just, always had that?
I think over time, college definitely was fortifying. Because very similar to what you're talking about, I got to be around my peers. I got to be around so many different ways of thinking about the world and relating to it. I really had the opportunity to experiment and try on different things. Like, that doesn't feel good. Or, oh my God, this feels amazing.
Yeah.
That, and then also, and actually, when things really started to click for me, I always did community service when I was younger. When I went to college, I was just getting used to having a syllabus because, I was in studio school before that.
Yeah.
It was me and a teacher. I went to school as much as I could, but I really wasn't in a normal school setting, and every day was different growing up. I just didn't have that same schedule that most people grew up with, so I had to learn how to be on a schedule. That was very strange, and so I concentrated on that and doing well in school and socializing because I wasn't really around a lot of peers, people my age, and I lost the community service part. When that came back into my life, where I started to be active again in the community, then I kind of like became myself. Like it didn't.
Being full circle.
It just didn't, you can't BS when you're helping other people or when you're relating to others or you're there in service to them. You can only be yourself, because if you're not, it just doesn't work. So that's when it really started to, who I am just became just so much more and more comfortable to be.
Yeah.
It made it harder to be something different.
I have another question. So like you said, you weren't around like a lot of kids while you were younger. Do you think that helped you find yourself like at a younger age, or do you think, because sometimes you're around a whole bunch of kids in school, that's when you start feeling insecure, and that's where it brings it out of. Do you think that helped you or it set you back?
Sometimes I talk to my therapist about this. No. Did it help me or did it set me back? I don't know.
That's a good question.
Well, it definitely helps you focus in one way, because, I still have that where I'm not swayed by, because even as an adult person out of college, like your friends might still sometimes want to sway you. Like you have to say, no, I can't do that. Like I have work to do.
Yeah.
So I've been practicing that since I was in elementary school. Like, oh, I can't play. I have to go do a play. So that part, there's strength in that, but I did need to be around my peers. I'm glad I did that, and the friends I made in college are my friends for life. Like, those are my sisters and brothers. Like, we understand each other in a way that I never had before in friendships, and they help shape me. And because of those relationships, I feel like even to my work, as an actor especially, I can give more to my work, because when I'm doing it, I think about my friends' stories. Like, if I haven't experienced something that a character I'm playing is going through, one of my girlfriends probably has. And so I almost tell the story for her, and for women like her. So those relationships are like, yeah, I'm glad that I took the time to make them. They're important. They're really, really important.
How do you control your self-image?
Oh,
I don't think the camera can see you.
oh, sorry.
I'll lean back.
Self-image, man, I always talk about controlling ego. I think as men, our egos really dictate a lot of different things about us. And, it can be really good for you, it can be really bad for you. For me, I use my ego to keep me in winning situations and keep me honest with myself. So my ego it tells me like, you might not want to do that. That's a little bit more than you probably can handle. So won't you just take the L for that one and know that that's not for you. But it also makes me arrogantly humble. And what I mean by that is that I'm arrogant because I know who I'm not, and I'm humble because I know who I am. And so I think, the word arrogant definitely has a negative connotation to it, but in that sense, I think when you're arrogant about who you're not, it just makes you feel amazing about who you are. And for me, that kind of helps my image, because I don't have these identity crises, and I don't feel like I need to go do this to look this part or become this person. And yeah, I think for me, when I think of self-image, I just think about ego, because controlling the ego kind of is the starting point. And if I'm controlling that, then it just kind of makes everything else a little bit better and a little bit easier for me, where I don't feel the pressure. I was telling some students earlier how at one point I lost my ego, and I let my ego dictate how I treated people. And it was a very brief moment when I first was in LA, and I remember going to the club, and I went to the club, and I think I'm this big bad executive, like, I'm young. I go up there, and I got some friends with me, some lady friends. So I walk up to the front, and it's a long line. And I think because of who I am and what I got going on, they're going to just let me in. So I go up there, and the guy's like, the line's back there. And I'm like, man, I'm Amir Windom. Amir Windom, I'm like thinking he's just going to open the bell, like he knows my name or something. And he was like, oh, okay, that's cool. That long line right there, you can get in that line right there. And I was like, man, you know who I am? Do you know who I work, or where I work with, who I work with? Just making myself look like I was just looking so lame, so foolish. And I'm trying to impress these girls with me. And one of the girls pulled me to the side. I was like, Amir, like, you're so cool. You don't have to do that. Don't be that lame dude who egotistical and just, you know, you expect doors to open up because of who you are. Like, don't be like that. You don't have to be that way. And there was a moment where I realized, like, you know what, you're right. That's not who I am.
That's who you need to bring.
Right.
Everywhere.
and she, you know, she helped me out. She said, she pretty much slapped me upside my head and said, don't be that way because you don't have to be. Like, use your ego for other things other than to get you in the club.
Right.
And so, yeah, that shapes self-image for me. It starts with ego, in my opinion, controlling your ego.
So do you think that maybe you also didn't have those problems because you're more behind the scenes instead of like in front of?
Yeah, I do. You know, I appreciate. I mean, this life that these celebrities live. I mean, I give them mad. I mean, people like Tatyana, I have even more of a greater respect because they deal with so much more than I do. In all honesty, they have to be on a lot more and have to be more pleasant when they probably really don't want to be. But I think it definitely helps, without a doubt, that I'm behind the scenes because, yeah, I can go to the airport and, you know, although when I was coming here, somebody stopped me and asked me for my autograph. It was the weirdest thing in the world. I thought I was getting punked. I was waiting for Ashton Kutcher to come out and say he got punked. But
Did you sign it on?
It was there. They had this. What this guy was like, you know, I follow you, like, you know, I'm trying to do the same thing you do. And he's like, you know, you've been a. So he made me sign some pad he had or whatever. But I don't have to deal with that often. So yes, it's easy for me to control my ego or my personal feelings because I'm not having people coming in my face every day. Can I get your autograph? Can I get a picture? And asking questions. And I mean, I know sometimes, you know, like Tatyana, I'm sure people like always want to talk about Fresh Prince. And she's like, yo, I got this album coming out. I got this song that we about to drop. Let's talk about that. But she controls that though. And she's probably, like me, I probably wouldn't be able to control it, which is why I'm behind the scenes. So, yeah, I think it definitely helps. And I can do like this. And she got to be right there. Because, you know, nobody's going to notice I'm in the background. But they're going to notice that she's trying to get back. Oh, where you going? We know you. Come here.
So let's hide those Fresh Prince questions. So
But did you get into that club?
Oh, no. Oh, well, I did, but I had to pay like $150.
Because you made a scene or because that was a ticket?
Well, that's just how much it cost. Well, it was like $30 or $40 a person, so I had to pay. And it was a good, humbling experience. It was like, don't be that guy.
Okay, so what is the best advice that either of y'all have gotten in any venture of your personal or professional careers?
I'll jump.
Yeah,
There's this guy named Kevin Lyles. Kevin was the president of Def Jam Records. You know that guy?
This guy named
You know that
Kevin
guy?
Lyles.
Well, I mean, a lot of people don't know Kevin Lyles if you don't really follow music. But Kevin was my mentor. He's the one who really got me in the industry. But he was the president of Def Jam Records. And then he ultimately became the executive vice president of Warner Music Group. But Kevin, when I first started working at Def Jam, was telling me, he told me this thing that stuck with me. And he said, true leaders flex purpose and not power. And he said that to me, and it just hit me because at the time I was dealing with some issues with some colleagues, and I realized that, you know, the reason why I was primarily having a main issue was because I wasn't leading with purpose. I was leading with, you know, I'm a manager, you know what I mean? And people want to make sure that their leader has a purpose as to what they're doing. And he taught me that, and I mean, I've carried that with me for the last 12 years, and I mean, it's worked for me to perfection because purpose behind everything, especially if you're leading people, makes people confident and happy to follow you or happy to work with you because they know that you have purpose in what you're doing. So flexing purpose over power, just definitely stuck with me. What you got?
I think what I have is, I've been really blessed. I've worked with a lot of really awesome people who have been teachers and mentors to me. So I've gotten a lot of good advice. I've also gotten a lot of bad advice. It's good to know the difference. Will Smith actually told me.
You just had the one up there. My little Kevin Miles in the fold was.
No, well, I'm trying. You know, it's like one, and this is a weird one. It's a weird one, but it's always stayed with me, and it's been a source of strength for me. He said, I don't know what we were talking about at the time. I think it was about labels or, you know, like record labels, like music industry labels. Because when I was signed when I was younger, it was through his production company. He said, don't ever be afraid to be free. He was talking about, at the time, being with a label or not being with a label. But I've applied that in every area of my life. Don't ever be afraid to be free applies to relationships. When you got to go, because I have to live my life, don't be afraid to be free. Don't be afraid to be free. You're okay by yourself. It has to do with, yes. Pretty away, don't be afraid to be free applies to some things dealing with employment and work. You know, when you talked about being an entrepreneur. When, you know, the market is difficult and you're having a hard time finding a job, or don't be afraid of that time. Because that could be the time where necessity is the mother of invention. When I got out of college, I really couldn't find a job as an actor. It's like I had to almost start all over again. And I got a few things here and there, but not the way it had been. And that's when I started my production company with my sister. That's when we, you know, produced independently. We produced a web series that was BET's very first web series, Buffy's, and that's when I started to produce because I was free. If I had been signed to a show, I would never have had the time or even the inclination. So don't ever be afraid of being free because it's so deep. Like, you're enough. Everything that you're going to do is going to manifest from inside you anyway. So don't ever be afraid to be free. That's the best one I've ever heard. Ever.
Those are good. I don't think I've heard
Those
that
are-
deep
Yours
yet.
was a little bit better than mine.
Yours was
No,
good.
yeah.
Just
Pretty
pretty
good.
good.
You gotta be
Yeah.
on purpose.
Free.
I like.
Like this should not do.
Right, exactly. See, I'm gonna hit y'all with
February
questions
Well,
too.
that
We
Labels
already.
start with F.
See? That's me. That's good.
Right. So my next question would be, what was your experience like at Harvard? So, you know, that's a predominantly white institute, and we attend a predominantly white institute. So I wanted to see if there were any similarities, or just basically what was your experience there? Because I know a lot of people may not know that you attended Harvard. Prestigious. You're supposed to go to Princeton, right? That's, okay. If you did.
Harvard was amazing. It was amazing. And I know a lot of people think it's a very white institution, but there are so many people of color there
Really?
than I ever expected to see. And you know, when I saw like Social Network, which actually some of my friends were consultants on that film that had been to school, and I thought that club, the Phoenix Club, that club was filled with black and brown people. And I thought it was so weird that the movie didn't depict it that way, because the Phoenix was actually like one of the only finals clubs that allowed you to pay your dues post-graduation. And so because of that, that was the spot. Like, that was the spot. Like, that was the spot. And when you walked into the freshman dining hall, I mean, I remember the first day I walked in and seeing all these black people who were like me, who were, you know, geeks, but cool too, and, you know, like to talk about music and art. And, you know, at the time I remember staying up till like 7 in the morning and talking with, to this day, our moniker, we lived in Dunster House, and me and my girlfriends were the Dunster Divas. And this room of like these, I know it sounds crazy, but we didn't give that to our, like, people gave us that name. But we were this incredible group of black women. And, you know, Dominican. One of my friends was from Guyana. One was from Oklahoma. I was born in Brooklyn. One was from is Jewish and Jamaican from Manhattan. And here we were, just so much in common, and it was awesome. I stepped in at Harvard. I mean, we have to do it by year because they're not. It's true, they're not that many. But whatever. I was an 02 stepper. Say
Like
what? Say what? What?
Step shows and stuff?
Yes. Yes.
We got some.
We
Is this
would
a
have
video
step
footage?
Yes, come on.
No, I don't
No,
remember.
no, no.
Hold on, wait.
Okay, what you got?
Wait, what do I remember? Damn, I'm not a choreography person. Like, I don't remember.
Oh, let's go.
Oh my God. I'm
Yeah.
not
Improv,
Dude,
you got
step-
it.
Or just
Step
make
now.
Oh,
Yeah.
step, step.
Yeah.
Wait. Ooh. Hold on. Okay. Ooh, it's rusty. But
Yes.
it sounded, it had some rhythm to it.
Yeah, I heard it.
It mattered.
Every day.
It's definitely there.
I want to ask, how involved were you on Harvard's campus? Like, were you in, or I know you spoke about stepping, but like,
Yeah.
did you have an internship or work in the offices or?
No, I didn't. I actually, because I took a semester off to work and to go on tour, I actually did like a heavy course load the whole time. So where most people were taking like 3 to 4 classes a semester, I took like 5, because I wanted to graduate with my class. I was active in the arts. So there was a group at our school called Black Cast, and we did plays at the Low, which is an experimental theater under the American Repertoire Theater. I was in a dance group called Expressions. We did modern hip hop, jazz, ballet. I did, no, that was short-lived. I was going to say a choir, but that was very short-lived because they rehearsed really early in the morning. I wasn't about to do that. That was the most part, mostly arts. Yeah, and Eleganza, my blocking group, we all did that together, which is actually a fashion show that happens when the pre-frosh, our people come to decide if they're going to come to, decide if they're going to accept coming to Harvard. And we did this fashion show every year that was basically answering the question that you asked, which was saying like, look, we're here.
Yeah.
You'll have a community if you come here. And it was, Eleganza was really dope. It was a team vote. It was a team vote several years ago.
That's cool.
I'm really proud of that.
I just found.
Oh, and I was also part of the first, I'm still a member, first female finals club at the school.
Cool. And they have a lot of different clubs. Like, we don't get the chance to just step here. I don't know, we gotta make that.
Just make it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
I used to do it. I used to
Yeah.
step in high school, like,
Hey,
I loved it.
So you actually could teach people, like you could
Yeah,
choreograph.
I used to be the captain, like, all my years. So
You should just start it.
that would be cool. I'm gonna say, Tatyana taught me.
Yeah. Yeah.
oh, crack me up with that. It's like y'all playing catch. It's like you throwing something, you catch it back.
Right, like I just threw that knowledge on you, like,
Right.
take it back.
Find out y'all some athletes. Damn, catch.
I wish I could play something. Maybe I get scholarships. But so a big question that like we've all wanted to know is, growing up as a child star, who taught you about money and financial literacy, and how did you know? I know we see like things on TV where like people that you trust are like will scheme, or like how did you balance that and make sure you have the right people in your corner to help you with those things, especially starting out so young?
That has everything to do with my parents and nothing to do with me whatsoever. When you're a child, you're a child.
Right.
You don't know. That's actually why I do work with the SAG Young Performers Committee. We actually were a part of the SAG-AFTRA union, our committee of the union, and we work to help maintain the laws that already exist, even come up with new ones to protect children. But my parents, the state of California, if you're a minor working in California, puts money away for you in a trust, a percentage of your money. But in addition to that, my parents did that for me themselves. And so everything I know about money is what they taught me, and now what I've learned on my own, but there is no way that I could have protected myself as a child. They protected me. And when kids don't have that, they just don't, there's no one there. Even to this day though, I was taught by my father and my mother to take care of my own money. I really don't trust it to anyone else to do for me, except my dad, who helps me out. Because they've been incredible stewards, and they took care of my future. I'm fine, and it's because of them. So I was lucky.
Yeah.
Do you believe that your financial literacy impacted your self-awareness and how you carried yourself throughout your life?
Yeah, it did, because my parents protected me, but I don't think I actually became financially literate until after college. I don't know why they don't teach us that in high school or college. Harvard was actually a really interesting place to go to, because some of the generational people that go to Harvard, some friends that I have who are, their parents went there and their grandparents went there, and they're a part of a different class than I really. They speak about money and think about money in a totally different way. They talk about their investments. They talk about what to do with the money they have. And I was so intrigued by that I started reading everything I could. There's a great book, a lot of people, it's very popular, but this is a good start. It's called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And it's the difference between the way you think about money, whether you're making 6 figures a year, 5 or 4, will determine your financial future, because you can always save. You can always. I'm not the person strolling around in Hollywood and I have to have the Rolls and the Bentley and I got to do this and that, and then I'm living, I'm renting a studio apartment. I don't think so. I believe in wealth, and my parents are immigrants. They came here so that me and my sisters would do better, and I know my children are going to do better than me. Everything that I'm doing now is not just for me. I want to leave it for my children and their children. This luck and these blessings. I've had teas for my girlfriends with people that I know from banks who are like, oh, I'm an investor and I want to meet new clients, and well, come meet my friends and tell us what you know, and maybe you'll get some clients out of them. I love learning about money and figuring out what to do with it. It's not secret, how we're taught, oh, classy people don't talk about their money. You don't have to talk about what you have, but talking about your money with the right people, with experts, is how you make more money out of the money that you have, and how you keep the money that you have. It's really, look, I'm talking to you, it's really essential. But it is. It took me a long time to learn it, and it is. It makes you feel empowered once you do.
So growing up in the industry, what negative self-imaging issues did you face, if you faced any?
Well, people telling me that I wasn't sexy enough at 17.
Yeah, how did that affect you?
It made me feel like people were crazy.
Because
there's
you
no
feel
way
like
you
I
cannot
am
be
sexy.
Hell, look at me, no. Not because of that. But because I remember there actually being a wardrobe issue on Fresh Prince once. It was when I was singing Respect.
Oh, that's
And somebody up there wanted me to be in tiny little, this was the 90s, so this was a pop look. But tiny little bike shorts and a bra. And I'm sitting in the wardrobe and I was like, I'm naked. I was 16. I was like, this is not gonna work. Well, so-and-so wants you. And then I was like, no, I'm not wearing this. I'm not wearing this. I won't do it. I was like, and I remember walking down and I knocked on and asked for Will. I was like, he said, what is the problem? And I said, they want me to wear this. And I'm naked. He said, what do you want to wear? And I was like, well, the bra's cute, but I kind of want to wear these jeans and I want to wear a little jacket, which is what I ended up wearing in the episode. And he said, good, then that's what she's wearing. Done. But that taught me at a very early age that about how this industry will over-sexualize young women. And I was lucky enough to have somebody powerful in my corner, but I've never been in a situation where I didn't stand up for myself. I will sit in my dressing room and it will get shut down if it's not what we agreed to, and if I don't want to do it. But I was lucky enough to learn that from somebody, you know what I mean? Because I was protected. I don't know, I was kind of an obstinate child. I don't think they would have got me in there. I don't.
No way.
Yeah. No.
Well, just feeding
Sue
off
me.
of that a little bit, a question for you.
Just put the handcuffs on.
In the music industry, I know we see like a lot of different female rappers or artists that can take the more like sexual appeal, and I know people have it's a lot of controversy because these women are role models for younger children and younger ladies that see them on the videos, and they want to be like Nicki Minaj, or they want to be like so-and-so. Do you feel like that's a problem with over-sexualizing women within the music industry, or do you feel like that is them owning their sexuality?
Yes, I mean, I was going to say it's two parts of that, and you kind of answered the second part of it, which was, I was talking recently about on my Instagram feed, I saw a picture of a young lady I know, just a lady I know. She's a sex symbol, which means if you go to her Instagram, you will definitely see a lot of different things. That's showing a lot of different things, if you know what I mean. And I saw one recently where she was like, this is freedom. This is what freedom looks like. This is what owning yourself looks like. This is what self-confidence and courage. And she had all these captions on there, and this deep quote. And a part of me was like, I get it, but the other part of me was like, well, why you gotta be butt naked though? To consider that you're owning yourself, or this is what confidence looks like. This is what freedom looks like. This is what self-worth looks like. And I've just realized that part of me doesn't necessarily agree with that. That being the way you promote self-confidence and self-worth. Because I know that I have a niece that's 10 and she's going to be on Instagram. And I don't want her to feel like that's what she has to do, to be sexy or to be, a validated woman. But as far as music, I think, music definitely has its influence on culture. And, me being in it, I definitely feel responsible in some regards, or somewhat responsible for what's happening, because I think of all industries, music has the most influence on pop culture. So we set trends, we create lingo. I always look at people's social media and they're quoting artists, all the time as far as a caption. It's always an artist quote. And you have the influence, and that's what I tell my artists. You have the power to influence a generation. And I always remember that. So with your music and your messaging and your image, there's a lot of people watching you, and there's a lot of people emulating the life that you're portraying and living. So does that mean don't be who you are? No. But it means that you just have to be cognizant that you are a role model. And, you got to also ask yourself that who you are today, I think about some songs like, Chris Brown, for instance. I think he's a great artist. He has a God-given gift. But I think about the song like the song that these O's ain't loyal. When you think about Chris 10 years from now, and he's doing these concerts where, he's kind of the old school artist, or 20 years from now, 30 years from now, even though it was one of his biggest hits, like, how is he going to be, feeling 40, 50 years old performing these O's ain't loyal? You know what I'm saying? It's going to sound crazy. So that's what I'm saying. It's a right. It's a balance between, making conscious decisions now that represent your brand, that regardless of as you evolve, you still can stand strong as to who you are and who you were then. And I think, I think that's the battle that a lot of musicians are having. You know, they're going with trends and they're not standing out. I mean, and they're not trying to essentially just be themselves and create their own lane. A lot of them just having to fit in and fit in for the sake of selling records or appealing to the consumers, which is unfortunate. And I think that's what leads to a lot of things such as butt naked people on Instagram and others.
There are a lot of butt naked women on Instagram,
Yeah.
but I think over-sexualization isn't just happening with women, it's happening with men,
But
for men
yeah,
also.
sure.
And I think everybody's being affected by it. I think, look, I think a woman should be able to do whatever she wants to do.
Absolutely.
If I want to get up and walk around naked right now, I should be able to do that, if that's what makes me feel good. No, seriously. But, no, I mean, I think a woman should be able to do whatever she wants, and an artist should be able to do whatever she wants. To say whatever she wants to say, or thinks she's saying, I don't know. But everybody is experiencing this over-sexualization. And for men, it might not mean that they're naked in their Instagram or, you know, with their butt cheeks out. With a hairy butt crack.
Yeah.
But what they are doing is saying that they need ridiculous amounts of money, we talked about this,
Yeah.
in order to have a girlfriend.
Right.
Or what they are saying, that's all,
Yeah.
it's like everything, it's like love is for sale. Like
Yeah.
sex is for sale. Like the most intimate parts of ourselves
not-
and our
It's not
relationships
sacred.
are for sale.
Right.
And so, and you have a lot of artists that are actually speaking to that too, like Weekend, and like that sadness, this like despair, and it's because it's all for sale. It just feels meaningless. So we're all suffering from that because you're just bombarded by it constantly, that to believe anything different is so hard. It's such a struggle to not buy into the lie, to not buy into, well, if I don't have any likes, I'm not gonna have any friends on Instagram if I don't, and the minute I do this, and I do this, and I do this, then everybody's gonna like me, and then I'm valuable, and now I can be in somebody's video, or now now everyone knows my name, because it's about like love,
Yeah.
right? And it's being sold. So it's not just women. Like that's what we have to realize. It's because when men start saying, "Oh, I could do I could get you for this,"
Right.
well, now you just did the same thing. You just put your hairy butt crack on Instagram, and think about that.
And I agree with her. I mean, we definitely, I think we're all, like I said, it's problems all around. I think, you know, I think my profession definitely is an influencer in that. It's a destructive influence to a certain degree. But as Tatyanna's saying, and she and I had a conversation about this week, I do think that, you know, it's definitely a male and female issue because, yeah, from a male's perspective, we're like, well, you know, you putting everything out on social media, you let me see whatever I want without me even having to take you on a date. I ain't had to take you to McDonald's or nothing, but I'm getting to see everything. And typically, if we fast forward before social media, it was extremely sacred. It wasn't about no sliding the DMs and Snapchatting this and Snapchatting that. So I think what's happened is men have become we're sexually desensitized without a doubt. Like seeing a woman's butt, but it's nothing anymore because it's so easy to come by now. So I think from a male's perspective, you know, we look at it and say, wow, that's dope. I can go to her Instagram page and see everything I want without even having to say a word to her. And from a female's perspective, you know, some call it thirst trapping. Some of them have various motives, whether it's
Never heard of thirst trapping?
thirst trapping. You ever heard that?
Not cool.
You are cool, but it's thirst trapping. But it's like, what's the purpose of it? Are you trying to get, you know, more bookings? Are you trying to just, are the likes really that essential to your confidence and your well-being? So I mean, it's a lot of conversation. That's the thing about thirst trapping.
Thirsty?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
thirsty.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's not.
Don't get trapped.
Yeah, don't get trapped in
Right.
thirst now.
Got
so
it.
and when you like those kind of pictures, that's kind of like you giving them some Gatorade.
Right,
Like you
right.
quenching
Yeah.
their quenching their thirst.
Quenching their thirst and making yourself look a little thirsty too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh,
Exactly.
interesting.
Right.
Don't get caught in the
I
thirst
promise
trap.
you, she's only in her 30s. She's not 62.
That's okay. Stay away from the thirst trap.
So you guys both seem to be like saying social media is a big cause of this. Is that what you guys both think?
I mean, it's just. I mean, we're just over it. We can see too much. It's too easy to see things that we just haven't been able to see in the past. And I think, Instagram and social media is becoming people's girlfriend and boyfriend now. It's becoming people's confidence booster, which is a good thing sometimes. Don't get me wrong. But I think social media has definitely caused a lot of oversaturation. And yeah, it has its pluses and it definitely has its minuses, just like anything. But,
It can be used for good though.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
I've seen friends do amazing,
Yeah, for sure.
amazing
She got
anti-bullying campaigns.
Yeah. That's pluses
Like
and minuses.
amazing things if you
Absolutely.
use it for good. It's like anything else.
Right.
Like, there's a lightsaber. You can use it for the good side, the light side, the dark side. Like,
Right.
please, just use it for good.
Right, that's true. Yep.
So, I think this is your question, but I'm gonna say it anyways. What made you all want to come to the University of Kentucky and talk about the things that you did?
Oh, the weather. I mean, love
The cold.
Of
love the
course.
cold and the snow
And like 2
ice.
days ago, it was like 70 degrees.
That's what
60
everybody
yeah,
keeps
we keep
saying.
saying that.
And then it snowed.
I guess,
but-
yeah,
Keep on your toes.
yeah,
Definitely.
exactly. But,
Well, Amir told me about this amazing series of events that he's doing here. And we've worked together before speaking for the United Negro College Fund. And he was so excited about what he was doing here that's why I'm here. And I love talking to students, but what I really liked about it was how he wanted to do it, where it's not just you giving a speech or
Right.
this kind of boring. It's really a conversation with everyone in the room.
Right.
We happen to be on the stage because that's how the room's set up,
Right.
but everyone has a
Right.
mic, and
Right.
I really like that. I think that's where things really get uplifted.
right. And yeah, Tatyana, we were several years back speaking on the UNCF Empowerment Tour. She was, I liked her too. I liked her style in the sense of just how she thought, because we're not speakers. Like, we're not coming there with these premeditated thoughts. Like, all right, I'm gonna hit this point, and when I say it, I'm gonna do my fingers like this, and and I think
Non-point.
right. I say what you gotta do is, but she just she's passionate. She's her passion is obvious, and she, let's talk about being more significant and being successful. Like, she sincerely cares about things beyond herself. You can see it. Like, it's not about the checks. It's not about, all right, well, how much we get paid. When I reached out to her, the first thing we started talking about was the format, and then we ultimately talked about any other business thing related to it. And I think, this is why we do these things, because we're busy. Like, she almost, to be honest, now that it's over, I can say this, she almost couldn't come because work was calling. But because she is, who she is, she said, this is a part of my work too, is making sure that I'm improving the quality of life for people. So that's why I tapped on her out of all the other people in the world I could have tapped on, because she gets it, and she's not here just, like I said, to say deep points, make you write stuff down, and she's here because she cares about improving the quality of life for people just like I do. So she's a perfect little kind of like, I don't want to call myself Montel Jordan. I mean Montel Williams. And, I was gonna call her Oprah. That's a compliment. No, somebody I can say. That's like a good black journalist. Like, that's cool. Yeah. Anybody coming on?
There's lots of cool headlines.
I don't know. All right, we'll figure that part out. But she, I thought it would be a cool.
Soledad O'Brien.
Well, no, I was gonna give you Oprah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He said it was too good.
I said no. I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I couldn't think of anybody that was equivalent to her, so I was like, well, let me take a step down so I can figure out who I am in this pairing. But yeah, so we are here because we care about things beyond ourselves, and UK is obviously investing or trying to reach you guys in different ways. So they reach out to people like us and say, what would you do? You know, instead of, hey, we want you to come speak and talk about being successful. They said, what would you do? What would it look like featuring you and Tatyana? That's how we got here. Yeah.
We definitely appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate you having us. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
So what are your guys' opinion on Black Lives Matter? Black Lives Matter.
Oh, I think that it's been an incredible movement. I love that it's a movement headed by women. And it's really interesting to see how it's growing and how it's going to sustain. And I think now that we're in the middle or the beginning of the political season, it feels like the middle because it's, I mean, it started so early before the primaries. It's going to be interesting to see how that movement is shaping the discussion in terms of criminal reform, police reform, criminal justice reform, sorry. I want to see how it shapes that in a really meaningful way, in a way that promises, my first day in office, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. And that's already, you know, there are groups already doing that. There's legislation, you know, waiting to be passed right now, and so it's kind of like in this political season, like we can't lose sight of that. Right. In fact, we have to push it. And, you know, you see the Democratic candidates, the two candidates right now, really the key group is the African American group. That's who they need, and that's who's missing, because we are kind of undecided. And that's, you know, you have these movements, and we have to remember the movements are not just about, and it's important, the emotional aspect of it is very important because that's what gets people up and out of their houses and onto their feet. But it's got to lead to political change. It's got to lead to reform, to changing the laws that got us to where we are. That's how the civil rights movement, it was all about legislation, it was all about legal action, and that's where I want to see it go, and I believe it certainly will, because there's real leadership. Like, it has real shape. And yeah, I think it's been amazing to watch, and sad that so many things back to back led up to it, but I think it was just, I mean, they just happened to be in the news this time. You know, it just happened to be the perfect storm in that city on that day, but it's amazing to watch. It's really inspiring.
Honestly, I feel the same way Todd does overall. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel the same way she does. I would say a lot of the same things, just in a different way.
Yeah. So
I think I'm happy, like she said, I'm happy that the leadership is like she said, it's real. It's not just a moment, you know, where it's going to be forgotten in a couple of years. So I do believe there's something that's going to be around, and they're gonna fight for change in professional ways, you know. And you know, one thing I do like too is I think it's important to have, you gotta have your people that can make noise and bring attention to the matter, but you're also gonna have the people involved who can go and sit down with politicians and people who can make change. And I think they have, like you said, the structure to do that. So it's good to see that. It's good to see that it's just not a moment. You're really grabbing people who are going to, while you're doing your organization in this way, you got other people doing it this way too, because protest is not always the only way it's going to work. But, you know, and you need sometimes those people who can go sit down with key figures to say, hey, these are our concerns and these are the things that we're going to need. Do we need them to change right away? Yes, but at the same time, let's work on a plan, a strategic plan. Because I don't think that sometimes just going in the office and saying, this is wrong, and this is, it's not going to work all the time. You got to find a more way to sometimes finesse change. And I think that's what I like about the movement, is I see some finesse it to where it's not going to just be a aggressive ads. If you don't get it, then all right, they're done. No,
Right.
we're gonna talk about this, but we're gonna keep working until we ultimately find a resolution. So
Purpose
like,
over power.
right, there you go. Purpose over power.
So speaking of like fighting for change, basically, how do you all feel? Do you feel like there's change, real change coming about? Because I know there's an episode of Fresh Prince where Jazz is on the stand and he's like, Uncle Phil's like, put your hands down, Jazz, you're good now. And he's like, nope, because if I put them down, I got 6 warning shots in my back. And we still see things like that happening today, and that was, what, 20 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, those kind of shows are like reflecting of things that are real and that happen. I feel like Fresh Prince has a lot of key moments where it's like real issues that are being addressed, but you know, in a funny, like good way.
Mm-hmm.
But still seeing that we have this police brutality and things like that happening from back then, do you think there is real change coming about, or is it history repeating itself? Or, I mean, do you have any feelings toward that?
I think there's real change coming about, but I think we would be remiss to not know that we've had these grievances before and that we've had movements in the past. We have to know that, and a lot of times we make it sound like it's brand new, and I think that's dangerous because we can't learn from our elders. We can't learn from the people who fought before us what worked, what didn't work. It's so important for it to be intergenerational and for us to have that sense of history. Honestly, so that we don't make the same mistakes again. But just because we've been fighting all this time, I still believe that the change is happening, but we can't stop. Like, we can't get complacent at all. And you know, that's why you can never forget where you come from. Like, you always have to. If you're educated, if you're the lawyer, then you're the lawyer that might need to go and do pro bono work for Black Lives Matter to make that happen. That's what we did. That's how it happened. That's how the gains that we've had, that's how they've come about. So we just have to keep, like, you have to keep pushing. You have to keep pushing. And as soon as you get through the door, you have to, like, bust it through it, and you have to make sure other people get through the door. You can't stop. Like, we can't just stop at the list of 5 things that we want. We have to keep going. So I think change is happening, and I think it's interesting to see it, like, ricochet and happen, you know, sounds like a crazy thing, but Oscars So White is definitely happening because Black Lives Matter happened.
Yeah.
Because, so it's happening in every industry. People are becoming courageous, and people are seeing things that they're just not, it's like, I'm not standing for this anymore. I have to say something. So I think I think the change is real.
How do you feel like you contribute, both you guys, to the movement?
I try to contribute with the work I've done in politics. Right now I'm undecided with the 2 Democratic candidates that are there right now. And when I am decided, I will lend whatever. I'm a registrar. Like, that's what I did for the Obama campaign. Like, I go to clipboards and I go door to door and I register people and bring people into the process, hopefully, that have never been a part of the process before, don't trust it. But I feel like once you really use your right to vote and become active in our system, then it feels good. Like, and you keep your activity. Maybe you go to your local councilman's meeting. And I think that's where a lot of our power lies. So that's what I do. Also, though, all of the speaking that I do, I try to talk about the things that are going on. But yeah, I guess mostly the political work that I do.
And for me, it's through speaking. It's also through music. You know, just making sure, from an artist standpoint, that the artists are you know, I feel like in some aspects you're just always reminding them and make sure that they understand what's currently going on in the world, and making sure that they find ways to indulge in, you know, just indulge in it in a credible way where they can have an impact with me and add some value to what's going on. And then just through nonprofit organizations like the Launch of Black Men of America, which is doing a whole lot, a lot of very involved with them, and they give me a platform to, galvanize and bring people together that work in the music business who do care, or people who work in entertainment, and we do town hall meetings, and those things to me are high level, but as far as day to day, it's going to prisons and talking to prisoners who are going to jails and talking to those kind of people, because to me, they're the ones who can go back to their communities and talk to people about some of the different kinds of messages. Because I think, yes, while it's important to come to universities and talk to students, the assumption is that you guys have already committed to doing the right thing. You know what I mean? So to me, I'm like, let me go to the people who some people have already written off and said, they're not going to be a contributor to society, and talking to them to see if maybe I can reach them. And I would say that's one thing I love about some of the artists, like from T.I., Jeezy, that they do. They're like, to them, they say, what, I don't particularly want to go to a college campus, because you know what? Like, they're going to be all right. I'd rather go to a prison or a jail or a juvenile detention center or a foster home and talk to those kids, especially when they're young, like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, because, by the time they get 15, 16, 17, it's hard to pull them back from that world. So, to me, it's also going to, like I said, these environments as well where it's a struggle. But at the same time, these people have influence on a certain kind of people that maybe some of us who have committed to living a more productive life aren't necessarily interacting with, because we just live in two different lives. So to me, that's how I try to make sure that I'm doing my part as well.
This question's for you.
How many more questions you guys have? Just
So we're about
curious.
to
Yep. 3 a.m. So you were 1 year old. Did you
see, you want knowledge.
Okay.
I know, I like that. I just wondered.
So, some black actresses and actors have expressed their opinions on Black History Month in the media lately. And I want to know your opinion on that opinion.
You have to tell me what that opinion is.
The opinion that Black History Month and BET Awards don't matter and should go away because we need segregation or integration. What is your opinion on that statement?
Wait, because we need what?
Either segregation or integration. Though there should be no BET Awards because that's segregation from the
Oh.
Oscars.
Yeah, so like the
Or
conference.
like
really?
the MTV Awards.
Oh.
That's the answer.
What did she do?
Well, while, yeah, I don't agree with that. I think that, I definitely believe in integration and inclusion. I definitely believe in that. I don't think that we, even with the film industry being the way it is and the kind of movies that get made, and our movies not getting made as much unless they're about the 60s or however you, I know, it's crazy. I was in one of those things. But and a lot of people say to that, oh well, do it on your own and do it outside. No. Yes, do it on your own, that's great. People are doing that, artists are doing that. But we need to be included, we need to have the same budgets, we need to be marketed with tens and tens of millions of dollars. I believe in inclusion. But that in no way means that we should get rid of our own institutions that we built because we have been excluded. That just makes no sense to me. Why would you do that? Why would you take away? I was never invited to the Emmys. I was on the Freshmen's of Bel-Air, but I was invited to the NAACP Image Awards. And I was a little girl on one of the most iconic television shows, and I got to get dressed up and celebrate my achievement. And other people celebrated my achievement, and I got to see other people who looked at me and looked at me and saw me. I got to see them So I think that's a crazy notion. And I don't think having our own institutions means that we're even self-segregating. I don't see why that should be separated. And guess what? I've seen there are many people of many different ethnicities that I see being invited to the NAACP Image Awards to share in the way we celebrate each other and the way we celebrate ourselves, and to the BET Awards. So more come. Why then come?
Come.
You're invited.
Come join us.
Yeah. I saw Quentin Tarantino at the NAACP Image Awards for Django Unchained, and he looked just as proud of his film and his cast as he would have been, as he probably was at the Oscars or at the SAG Awards. So come along.
And what's the director name from 12 Years a Slave?
Steve
McQueen. McQueen was there, and I mean, he gave a great speech this was last year. And, he said some things to that effect, he said, I'm happy to be here because regardless of what it's called, we celebrate art and talent. I mean, yeah, we may have a particular focus on African Americans, but we don't exclude anyone. So he didn't say, well, Steve McQueen, you're white, so we can't put you in category. No. I mean, so I think that's preposterous. That's the way I'm going to go.
I mean, that's like saying we shouldn't have black neighborhoods or black businesses.
Exactly.
I mean, this is crazy.
It is. It's crazy.
Sorry, girl, no.
I'm with you 100%. It was one of those articles that I read one time and you just, next.
I totally understand. Okay, last question. Out of all the new, do you guys know any of the new hip hop dances? Like the nene, can you nene?
Only the nene.
Can you
What
whip?
other dabs?
You can dab.
She step.
Everybody
You got
dabs.
a
Good, thank you.
Definitely
Yeah,
not
come on.
I'll dab.
Y'all want to
You're
see
my
Amir
I'm not
nene?
nene.
Do it.
You know what? I'm gonna do this because my niece is gonna see this. My
Yes,
niece.
thank you, niece.
I want to chop off my niece's legs right now. Let me tell you why. Because every time I see, it could be any song in the world comes on. It could be a slow R&B song. It could be some church music. She's doing a whip and a nail. Cut her legs out. Every time she's walking. We're in a store and she's walking like this.
Hey!
That's what she's doing the whole time. And I'm like, I want to cut your legs off. So that was my whipping.
All right.
And that's all she wants to do is just all day. A song comes on, she just all day. Doing it.
See, you're pretty good at it.
I can dance.
Taught you a few moves.
I can dance.
You can dance.
Oh yeah, her rhythm she got came from me.
Oh.
On my side, family. Let's be clear. Be clear. Wyndham know how to move.
Wyndham know how to whip.
Wyndham know how to move. Wyndham know how to whip and that.
Whip the nene. All right. Well, you heard it here first, everyone. Thank you for tuning in, and we want to thank our special guest.
Thank you.
And
Thank
we're
you.
excited for this series, The Combo. We're gonna have more people coming through. So, thank you all.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.